Hey y'all, it's Evan with Fifth Third Trading. Today is Sunday the 27th of December. Happy holidays to you, happy New Year's. If you're a new trader, if you're an intermediate trader, if you work a 9 to 5, if you're a caregiver, if you have kids, if you're a normal person like the rest of us who cannot day trade or scalp trade because obviously from the market open to market close, you have responsibilities. I'm your guy. No one else does this. Everyone else talks about extremely long-term investing or extremely short-term investing. I'm that happy medium for you. We're holding 3 to 20 days usually. You don't gotta check your stocks every 5 minutes. You can trust them, set an alert at your goal area, and then execute out when it comes time for that. Today I have about 12 to 13 plays for you. They're brand new ones. A lot of these are have not been called in weeks if I have called them, and if I haven't, they're brand new for you. So this would be great to add to your watch list. These plays will be viable Monday through Wednesday as an estimate. A lot of these will be good for about 2 or 3 days. Then tomorrow's list will be good from Tuesday to Thursday. I'm going to kind of expand the amount of life they have because a lot of these do take a few days to take off for you. With that being said, let's not waste any more time. We're aiming for 25 to 35 minutes at most. Let's get into it. So once again, above me is our full list. You want to pause it and check them all out by yourself. That's great. There will be a 5-second ticker video before every single solitary ticker. That way you can pause it and chart it yourself. And also, that being said, this is a 35-minute, 25-minute, 45-minute video sometimes. Do not feel compelled to watch the whole thing if you do not want to. At the bottom is going to be a bunch of chapters. You can click on it, check it out. If you don't like it, just go to the next one, right? There's no point of you wasting your time. This is supposed to be, as interactive as you want, as not interactive as you want. It's really up to you. But let's get into it. So our first stock is D.A. Horton, Dr. Horton Inc. I don't know who that man is, but shout out to him. Maybe he knows Dr. Pepper. I don't know. So what we're going to see first is a beautiful channel. I mean, one could argue you can take this line. So that's going to be your channel, is your volume line, and this bottom line here, I kept it out just because of the relevance of what the play is. So you come over here, you can see we have almost, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. Arguably, that's a bad sign, but then higher low, higher low, higher low. So it's been kind of getting closer to breaking this line more and more. Now it has shown lower highs historically over here, which isn't fantastic, but again, it has shown life here before. So I think what's great though is that if it does die on us, you can just buy in lower. And again, being at home with animals is fun. Your stop loss is only about 4% away, and again, that's if this really collapses on you. You could buy in now, and then you can hold through this whole entire dip area if it does take time. But it has a lot of good upside. It technically did come down and tap, and now it's showing life again. It's easily going to be 9%, 10%, and once this is broken, as you can see, it kind of made this big headway up, and now it's consolidating. It keeps moving. It's going to make even higher highs and be a great long-term stock. I don't know if this is the triangle or if this is the triangle. Both are arguably fine. I'd be more inclined to trust this one just because it tapped 4 times, technically, and this one only tapped twice. But again, it's showing higher lows throughout historical references. This is your stop loss. Let it go long. Let's check the indicator. What's dope about indicators is that I do not check them prior to filming. That way I can go through them with you in live time. That way I think it's really useful for everybody. I could do them beforehand, but again, I think it's more viable to talk about them with you. Right now it's beneath both EMA lines, but again, it broke the 50. If it breaks this 200 and goes long and holds, it's a fantastic sign for strength. It respects the 200. It bounces off the 50. Both are very strong. So tomorrow, if it goes long and breaks above, 70 to 50 and holds there, and it goes long, expect maybe a minor pullback. As you can see, these run-ups have pullbacks, okay? So if it runs up and you buy in and it dips on you, hold it, you'll be okay. The RSI is fair priced. Stochastic showed that reversed. And again, you could even see it was a technical divergence, right? Those are a double bottom. So that's a great sign for life right there. It has plenty of room to run. And again, this is why I added this new indicator. You can see it can run -6 to +62 on your stochastic. The Vortex indicator is very similar to MACD. It's also very similar to RSI and stochastic, right? As you can see, they almost all mirror each other. We're watching the green line mainly. You can see how they very closely mirror each other, but like over here, you see how stochastic was on the way down while it was still going up? The Vortex does a better job of indicating runs and how much longer they can run for. Like over here in this big run up, stochastic was worthless, right? You could say, oh, divergence, but again, that's not really useful in real time. This one showed the whole time. This whole run was green. So we're going to use the Vortex, one, to show how long our runs are going to be. And as long as the green's above the red, you're pretty much good to go. But then two, the reason I like using it is when the green bottoms out, that shows exhaustion, right, from it dropping. And when the red's too high, that shows exhaustion of it dropping. So it means if you buy low green or we buy high red, eventually it's going to reverse. So this is a great way for us to find reversals. And as you can see, the green is very low and just start creeping up. So again, you could traditionally you want to buy in the crossover like MACD, but again, I'm going to buy in the dips. So like over here where it started really bottoming out, right? You would have bought in, and then you would have gone long and made some money, right? You would have bought into the dip and made some money. So I guess technically it has a little bit more room to drop to really be a strong one. But again, the Vortex says this is about as low it's going to go and then go back up. And then once it crosses, if we buy now when it crosses, we just ride that wave all the way to the top. So indicators look good. Divergence, fair price. And again, you can see it's right in the middle of this whole channel. So if it goes up, 9%, we sell. If it comes back down and tests maybe this area, it tests 75, you rebuy in, see if it's really a triangle, and go long again. But DHI, even if it doesn't live here tomorrow, DHI is a fantastic purchase for the future because maybe you have a big channel, maybe a larger channel, or a triangle. All three we can make money off of. Next is ENBL, Enable Midstream Partners. We all know who that is, right? But a very simple channel play, right? You can say your resistance is anywhere from $6 to $6.50 to $7.50. Anywhere here is going to be the resistance. That's not really I don't care. What I care about is my entry point. Here's a history of the stock. It taps this line, rebounds. It taps this line, it rebounds. It tapped this line, rebound. Now again, one could argue that this was the rebound. Okay, but again, this is much lower than this one, and again, that one's very similar looking over here. But again, even when it tapped over here, you still made 8% on this rebound. So I would be inclined to think it's going to rebound again. I'm also inclined to think that this channel will not live forever. I think it's going to kind of make some moves. And again, you can come over here and be like, well, it's technically ascending and it broke it slightly. Maybe it's going to go above that trend line again and keep going up. It's a great thought. And again, this is a fantastic stock for the future because if we buy this rebound right here and it goes up another 14% or maybe even 13%, you just sell. You will sell probably around 6.30, 6.27, 6.15, anywhere in here. You sell, you let it, the next month. This was about 29 days. Just watch this for 29 days and you rebuy in down below here into the volume node. You may be like 29 days to wait. Yeah, you wait 29 days and then you can make easily 50%. So I think waiting and watch listing is extremely important to this process. So I think that's great. You could even take this right here and go cut through and see that lines up almost perfectly as a trend line, and that's a dip. And a lot of these do that. I mean, like a lot of these have trend lines that cut through, which isn't perfect, but I don't mind it. So that's a great sign of life here. It showed life earlier, and now if you were to buy in easily 8%, if it does rebound, closer hopefully to 14 or 15. Let's check the indicators. So they look pretty good. It's riding that 200. It looks like it wants to break the 50. It must have just lost some steam towards the end of the day. But this is great because if if tomorrow it opens up the market and it's green and it holds above it, these aren't big candles. We're talking maybe that's a 3% candle. It held only 2%, and this is the same exact setup over here. This is only 0.67%, so you could possibly wait for it to hold above it, then buy in. That's more of a confirmation thing. I would be comfortable buying in, because worst case is you just lose, 5%, which is, a good chunk of money, but again, it is what it is. You got to take some risk. And it's holding above the 200. As long as it holds above the 200, that's a great sign. RSI is a fair deal. It was just oversold, so you got to put that in context, so that you could have bought in a day ago, but I just found it. And if that's the case, you would have bought in here, then you would have made some good money. But again, it has room to run, and it does historically get that high, right? It has another 18 points in the RSI to run. Stochastic is low, right? It just crossed over, and that does have history of going up to plus 40, plus 60. So you got plenty of stochastic points to run. And then Vortex, right? Vortex could get a tad bit lower, but every time the Vortex has gone red, it does cross over green and makes money. So it's gone low here. 0.85 is pretty low in the Vortex. 1's being a fair value. So it's gone pretty low. I can see it definitely crossing over, making some money, and then we just ride that up until we peak out, hopefully around maybe 1.1, maybe up to like maybe 1.2. Let it ride out. So you buy here, you have some room to run. So price action said it's going to bounce. Indicators say it's going to bounce. This is a great move. And again, it's important to recognize this. On the bounces, there are pullbacks. On the bounces, there are pullbacks, right? That do seem to play off of the EMA lines here. So runs up, pullback, bounce. So just be careful with that. But ENBL looks like a fantastic play for tomorrow and for the future. ERIC, Ericsson ADR. If your name is Eric, this stock is for you. This is technically an ascending triangle. Again, you had one over here, right? It bounced up and came up and then tested it. And again, I'm sure I could zoom out and see a big ol', it's probably a massive dip from the sell-off. No, it's actually new highs. So this is definitely newer territory over here. The gap ups could be a bit concerning to you, but again, that's because it's a lower volume stock. Actually, no, it's not. It's millions. That's crazy. So it's a good looking stock from over here. This gap got filled, which is great, and now it's at a value. Now again, do I think that this is the best value? No, I would have think maybe 4 days ago would have been a good value, but again, it's only 2% away. So this is not going to make you a bunch of money or lose you a bunch of money. But let's say this runs up to where you want it to be, 6%. But again, this does have pretty violent moves up and down, so you can make or lose a few percent every day. But again, price action wise, it's a great setup, right? It broke up, it made new highs, it tested that new high, it tested it again, and now it came back down. And this is a whole area of support, and this whole area right here across the board, right here, this whole area is consolidation area. It makes a lot of moves. So you could buy in, maybe it's going to drop down to 11.5. It's only 3%, but then again, I have a good feeling you're going to bounce right back up into this area. It's really fighting to make a channel up here. And if that's the case, your volume line's going to move up. This is going to expand higher. It's going to compress, and then it's going to expand. So this is a good setup for the future. Let's check the indicators. So RSI is fair. Okay, makes sense. It's beneath both EMA lines. It has to break these. That's going to be your signal. If it breaks above these two lines and holds, that's where you can see a lot of money gets made. You see how it broke above here, both of them. It retested. Every clean run up has pullbacks, and it went off for another 10% here, right? So hopefully right here, it breaks above it. You retest, and then you can go up for an easy 5, 6, 7%, and possibly it breaks higher highs and you make a lot of money. And again, I don't guarantee that, but what I do guarantee is a setup for a potential for that. Very low risk, high reward setups. The stochastic is overdone, but again, it does seem to reverse in the middle area, right? It tests here, came back down. It came up here, tested it. So the middle area is a place for reversals, and it is green, right? And it's kind of pulling back. So if we see tomorrow that the red takes over, I'm waiting. If it doesn't break these lines, I'm waiting. But again, Eric for the future is a great purchase. And again, it's not perfect. It definitely has room to drop, but it looks like the stochastic is curling. The Vortex is curling. If it holds, that's great. And the RSI says it has room to run. But again, this is one to wait on. But ERIC for the future is a great purchase. Next is everyone's favorite GFF. We've called this before, so I'm not going to take too much time on it. It's just an ascending triangle. I mean, it's beautiful. It just is taking more time than we thought. We called it over here, and we made 10%, and we called it again, and made like 6%, and now we're calling it again. Now, it does this, right? It takes time, and it consolidates, and then it takes off, right? It takes time, and it consolidates, and then it takes off. We're just waiting for this. I mean, you'll wait to make 38%. I mean, you'll wait, and you'll play this to make, 28%. So we're going to make a little bit less probably over here, 20, 21, right? Yeah, realistically 21%. But it's a very low risk play, right? You buy in now, right? It runs up at least 5%. If it starts consolidating, taking its time, you can sell. It'll probably pull back, and then it's going to take off. Now, historically, all these are kind of taken off by a bullish engulfing, right? Over here, bullish engulfing, bullish engulfing. Then over here, bullish engulfing. Right, that's going to kind of be your sign, it looks like. And see, that's why we thought we had it over here. We were like, oh, bullish engulfing, and died. So, great ascending triangle, right? It's going to eventually break 2472. The only question is, when will this be broken? Right, that's your real question. This is your resistance area. And the best part is once we break this and take off, we'll buy the rebound, and we'll make another cool 15%. So this is potentially a 35% play over a month, which is great returns. Let's check the indicators. So RSI is a fair price, which is a tad, I won't say concerning, but I'm guessing just because of where it is on this whole map here. I'm sure it has plenty of room. Stochastic's a little overdone, and the Vortex is still saying it has room to drop. So I'm sure what it's showing is that it kind of wants to be down here in the $18 range. It really wants to dip down to $18.40 for it to really recognize a good deal, maybe even $17. But again, these are all higher lows, right? So indicators regardless, the price action is saying bulls are in control, which makes me feel much more comfortable than the indicators. Now we had a massive sell-off here. You see this volume node? That's probably kind of throwing it for a loop, if I'm going to be honest with you. It's a huge differential. We went from usually about 230,000 to now almost 2 million in one day. So that kind of makes sense. But again, the price action makes sense. Your play is going to be breaking the 50 and then breaking the 200. That's going to be your real sign to go long, because once this is broken, the question is how early do you want to get into it? And again, if you buy in and the shows lower lows, right? If it breaks down and kind of comes down to 1880 and holds down there, I'd be quick to cut. But again, I would just buy in, then hopefully down here. But the higher lows is a fantastic sign. Vortex just needs to cut up and make room. Stoch just needs to kind of push through. So I think it's a good looking stock price action wise. Indicators say otherwise until we break the 200. That's going to be your play. Next is a penny stock for my folks who like good deals. KTRA, KTRA Therapeutics. So again, please do your research on this. Do your due diligence. Anything that's pharmaceuticals and therapeutics during COVID are so wildly in the air on what could happen. They could have an FDA approval tomorrow. I wouldn't even know. I could check if I'm really going to buy it myself. I just do technicals for you. But, this could be a massive hit or a massive die. Now, my assumption is going to be, let's see if there's any history on this one. Nope, this is a newer one. So my assumption is this is going to be kind of where it wants to bottom out. And again, it showed higher lows throughout this process, right? Higher low, higher low. Technically a low, but that's a wick, so I don't really consider that as much as this one right here. Higher low, higher low. So it's showing life, right? And this thing has a history of reversing like a bull effect, right? Takes its time, pull back, that's a cup and handle, pull back, bull, bull, and now hopefully a bull here. That is a reverse hammer with a closed lower. So I mean, I would be a tad bit concerned until I see life. And this is a lower volume one, right? It's 200,000 a day. So, I mean, you may take some time to get executed out of your position. So keep that in mind. But again, you guys asked for more penny stock, so here I am. But this is a great ascending triangle technically, or even just a channel, right? And if you were to buy here, sure, you're bottoming out at 12% away from a great price. But I'd argue that this line's probably your best area of buying, 6%. But the potential is easily 16 at our first resistance, then 20, and hopefully a whole 32% move. So we're talking 6% to 32. I'm no math wizard, but it's like 5.2% or 5.2 to 1 ratio. So it shows life here. This volume line is an area of consolidation. If it shows life tomorrow, even a little bit, I would consider going long because this is fantastic potential. And we're not talking, that's 5 days. This move was 5 days. This move was 5 days. So it makes good profits quickly. You can get in, get out really quickly. Let's check our indicators. RSI is a fair price, logical. Stochastic said it's overdone, but I think just because it's been taking so long on this, that if it were to be a quicker move, it would register like how this move right here registered the same kind of steepness as these. So I think that's not really a good thing or a bad thing compared to over here where it said it was overdone and then it dropped down a little bit and then it steadily took off. So again, we're kind of waiting for that takeoff to happen. So I wouldn't consider this to be the best indicator, honestly. RSI is a fair price though. And then the Vortex just crossed red. So I think your best option is possibly to wait for the Vortex to hit down in, 62.62 and see what it does. But I mean, again, this thing has a history of consolidating in this area. So the real question is how early do you want to get in? And of course, your EMA play, it respects the 200 the most. And again, it's a brand new stock, so of course it's going to respect that the most. So that's your play. You can see how I tried, tested, and it died. So this may be on the way down for a few days, but if you like penny stocks, KTRA is a great setup. The real question is, can you buy in at the correct time to capture that move without having your capital tied up and potentially miss profits? But KTRA for the future is a great play. Next is LULU, LULU, Lululemon Athletica. What a great setup. This is a channel, obviously a mid channel, okay? But then over time though, higher lows, that means ascending triangle. Well, higher low, higher low. So here's the issue with LULU is where is it going to stop dropping? Not necessarily where is it going to be headed. Now again, $350, if you have a small account, you just buy one share of this, okay, at most. Because if you put less than $300 into a stock, the potential is not very high. And I mean, I'm not doing shade. We all start somewhere. But, one share, this is fine. And again, it's showing higher lows with wicks. You see this wick? Wiki. So again, you need to be extremely vigilant if you like these kinds of plays like I do to get in at the right price. Now, is there a chance it's going to dip down to potentially 3.8 more percent? Maybe another $14? Sure, that's going to be a huge option. And that's why I'm saying this now, because it wicks down and doesn't hold there. But again, even from here, the potential profit is easily 10%. Maybe 15. You make $30 off this, $40, and again, it's a perfect ascending triangle play, right? And usually the more expensive stocks do this. You don't really get that great patterns with penny stocks. So, I mean, it's going higher every single day. Higher lows. This is a great long-term investment. You buy in now, you could easily see $400. It breaks that, retests, and takes off, and you're making some good money. But again, the real question is just when's this going to stop moving? And again, the indicators will tell us that. So let's check those out. So the RSI is almost oversold, and this thing is, as some people call the comeback king, where it goes oversold, overbought. It has that, obviously. Oversold, overbought, oversold, overbought, oversold, overbought. So it has some room to drop, but it looks like it loves to hug this 200 EMA line. And so it's kind of testing that. So I could see it. You see how it breaks it? It does break it and then rebounds back quickly. So I think it has a chance of breaking a little bit more tomorrow. Stochastic can't get much lower. And again, that's definitely a divergence, right? Because this and up, and then this is a flat. So you could easily argue that's a divergence for sure. And then Vortex can't get much lower. So this is definitely the buy area. The question is, does it reverse now or does it reverse in a few days? I'd be comfortable buying this as soon as possible and then letting it go up. I mean, worst case, you buy in and it dips below 330. You lost $17. It drops down to this red line. You buy it again and make your money back, plus more. So I like LULU a lot. It's a great setup. Next is NGD. The first thing you're going to notice is our trend line gets broken, which isn't a great sign, but it's also not a bad sign. This is just uptrending, and then I use these two lines. And I could even argue making a third one down here, like this, right? And these are your buy points, right, for Ascension. Is this going to be your best buy-in point, or this one, right? There's plenty of reversals at the first one, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but also there's plenty at the lower one, right? 1, I guess 2 technically, 3, 4, 5. So the question is, how low is it going to go, right? And so that's always the question. And so right now it hit this one and it reversed. So it has easily another 10% to run. And again, this is a cheaper stock, so you'd think that this wasn't a big move. But again, that's easily 10 more percent for it to keep running. Now again, if we're playing this off of a channel, this is really high and maybe it's going to die on us. And that's fine. That's why we have stop losses. But if it keeps running up like it has been, you could even buy in here. If you botch your entry and it drops down to here, you want to hold, it's going to eventually come back for you, in theory. So really easy. It just tapped here, it's going up. It just tapped here and it's going back up. So you really can't consider it out of a downtrend though until it breaks that line. And again, that's a very easy way of telling downtrends, like over here. You can play it off. That wick doesn't really count if you wanted to call it that. Downtrend, downtrend, downtrend. Broke it, tested it, took off. So if you really wanted to be a good cookie, you wait for it to break and retest. But again, then you're not getting the best possible value. So again, I'd be comfortable buying in here and letting it go long with a stop loss beneath like 214. And then you buy in when you see a reversal down here. But it's a great stock. Let's check the indicators. They look good. This is a 50 bounce, right? It's bouncing off the 50. That's going to be your stop loss. It bounces off the 50. And if it doesn't hold here, right, it breaks the 50 and holds, you sell and you rebuy in at 215 or closer to 206 at the 200 EMA line. And it looks like that's an anomaly. You know what I mean? It seems to break the 200 slightly. And this one just must have taken more time. Must have been because of earnings. Obviously, earnings killed it and it came back. Stochastic's fair, RSI is fair. Vortex can't get much lower. So again, the indicators look pretty good. You buy in now. If it breaks the 50 EMA line, you sell it and rebuy in. Next is NIU Technologies. It's simple, right? This is a channel it's making. Stocks can do 3 things: ascend, descend, or consolidate. Ascend, consolidate, ascend, consolidate. And the real question is, will it ascend again? And again, you can see it just made a beautiful channel. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I don't think it's going to happen again soon. I don't know, but maybe it will. It does have room to drop. Okay, this is a fair support, but you could also put it down here. So I mean, you're talking a good 5% difference. But again, if we're going to be honest, it did tap and then it showed a little bit of life. So you could also say that this is a good support. And again, it's lived through all these. So I mean, I wouldn't be overly concerned if it dying here. I'd be more concerned of just your best entry. And again, you could easily see that this peak is this one's new bottom support area. Right. So you can see that lines up on purpose. So again, if it does show red tomorrow, I'm just going to wait to get the best possible deal, but I will be buying this one eventually. Even this channel right here is a 10% channel. So you've gone once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. And you can even see its own baby. It was its own little baby ascending triangle here for a second, and then it died. So it didn't live through that. So again, that's not a horrible sign. It just shows that we can all get a better deal. So let's see where it ends. But again, this is a great one for the future, if not tomorrow. Let's check the indicators. They look good. It needs to break the 50 and the 200 EMA. That's going to be your real signal to go stupid long, is when it breaks those. Stochastic is low. And again, these are all no divergences. It's clear across the board. It's just a good deal. RSI is technically oversold at 39. 40 is a good cutoff. It doesn't get oversold. The lowest it gets is around 33. But again, there's plenty of reversals around the 39-40 area. So it's a good sign. And the Vortex is bottomed out. It could drop a little bit farther. Historically, it could go a little bit farther. But again, the red can get a little bit higher. So maybe we'll see a little bit more red. And if that's the case, we're going to really go long. But again, it's consolidating for a reason. Right? It's taking its time right here, really just bouncing back and forth, waiting for something to happen. So you buy in now. If you show green tomorrow, you can buy in. And then your stop loss can be anywhere you know, probably you want to put around 28, you know, these lower lows, go beneath that, and then you let it die, you buy back in. But NIO for futures is a fantastic deal. SPT we called before. I even called it. I said that's a ascending triangle, my boys, and I said buy it here, and we bought it. And you would have made an easy 26% if you listened to your boy. And now it's coming back down. Do I think it's gonna reach this channel? No. You see how before I made a big move and then it kind of came halfway down and then did it again? Well, I have a hunch maybe it's gonna live here. Now, is this a very strong support? Not yet. It hasn't been proven as one, but it's been proven as a resistance. So maybe it's gonna bounce here. Worst case is you buy in early and you sell. If it doesn't show life tomorrow, don't buy it. But if it shows life tomorrow, you buy it and then it kind of dies on you, you just sell it and then rebuy it in the channel. But again, this is a good area of resistance from before. If it turns into an area of support, like it should over here, see how it kind of took a big move and then it came down and moved up. Well, hopefully it did a big move. It's going to chill here and then it's going to move up. So getting in early, if it does live here and shows a bounce, easily 10, 12% if it does what we want it to do. You know, if not and it dies on us, we just buy in lower and have a better deal. But SPT is a great setup. Let's check the indicators. So it's a 50 bounce. You can see it breaks the 50 and comes back, breaks it, comes back, breaks it, comes back, breaks it, comes back. So it broke it. So I guess your signal to buy would be when it crosses and holds above the 50. If you're really concerned, that's going to be your play. RSI is fair. It looks like there's no real divergences. I guess one could argue that. Yeah, I guess one could argue if you were to extend this out to over here. This is even, which again shows some life. Now again, with bullish divergences, we don't really know when they're going to reverse. We just know that they're going to reverse eventually with divergences, unless fundamentals take over. So the green is cross negative. The green only really gets about this low. I mean, you can see at 0.72 is kind of where it likes to reverse at. So I think it could, die a little bit more, but I could also see it living based on the price action. So if it does die a little bit more tomorrow, just know eventually it's going to reverse and go green again, eventually. So SPT is a great pick for the future. Tomorrow, maybe not, but Tuesday and Wednesday, yeah, for sure. That's a good pickup. Next is TAST, T-A-S-T, Carol's Restaurant Group Inc. It's a perfect ascending triangle, right? Tested it, came down, tested it. And it looks like this is more of a channel play that just broke. But again, it showed higher lows than over here and even over here, which shows a good sign of life. It currently just tapped down here and showed life. So I think it'd be great to go along and make an easy 17% with a full move. And then again, the hope is the next, this is taken. We'll go from right here. This has been 144 days, my boy, almost 5 months. If we can get 5 more months of doing this off of this stock alone, until it eventually breaks up, sheesh, that's going to be dope. So I think it's going to show life here. And again, we got to be sticklers and say it's still technically downtrending until it breaks that line, which you should draw. It's going to break that. It's going to retest and go long. But again, just the history of it coming here. You see how it broke it, retested and it went long, right? You buy in now. You may buy into some red, and that's okay. Then you hold it and go long. But TAST's channel, the ascending triangle, it's just a beautiful setup. Let's check the indicators. So you can see it's riding the 200 right now. It wants to break the 50. When it breaks at 50, as you can see, you see historically, it breaks the 50, goes long. It broke the 200 and the 50, it went long. So that's a real good play is when it breaks that. RSI is 45. It was just oversold, so that tells you why it reversed there. Stochastic looks good. I mean, it's fair. It has room to run. And we just had a crossover from our Vortex. And again, the Vortex looks pretty, it looks pretty good here. You can see this whole downtrend was red, and then it turned green. So it just turned green, which shows it did just reverse. And again, it has a history of being successful calling these for sure. So I would go long tomorrow. If worst case, you just, sell it at 614. If it doesn't really live here, I'd be inclined to hold the whole time just because of how strong this channel is. And again, if it really does break this, you just buy in at the golden channel and go long. But TAST for the future is a fantastic stock. So TNX is the 10-year Treasury Index. I'm not even confident some apps will allow you to buy this. This is more, like there's no volume profile on it or anything. It's just a good indicator of what's going on in the market. As you can see, it's a beautiful ascending triangle over here. It wants to break new highs. So if you can buy it, dope, go for it. It's only $9. It has some room to drop and then go long again. But again, this channel up is beautiful. If you can buy it and you want to go long on a really good, this thing makes easily 5%, 6% channels here. Dip down 6%, dip down 6%, dip down 6%. It showed higher lows throughout it, right, as you can see. So if it does break 916, a tad bit concerning. But again, it's just really running up well. And if it does break and go long, it's a fantastic sign. Let's check the indicators. So they look good. I mean, it's just riding the 50 the whole way. And it does break the 50 and comes back. So it may break the 50 and go long. RSI is a fair price. There we go. RSI is a fair price. Stochastic can't get too much lower. And again, there's maybe a divergence in there. I don't really care. It's much more of a same triangle setup. And the Vortex is still green, so I'd be confident buying into it. And again, you can see it's really coming down and now it's scooping back up. This may be a really good long-term investment. Yeah, you can see it does these big old waves. And I mean, I guess technically, if we're going to be huge sticklers about it, let's see. Well, it just broke that. So this thing has massive staying power. I mean, if you can catch this, I mean, it's only 50% throughout that 1 year. And this would only be, 90% so far. So it hasn't been this low. But again, it just broke the 200 on the 10-year, and now it's running large. So this could be a fantastic long-term investment for you. If you can invest in it. Not everything supplies treasury indexes, but it's a good look. I like it a lot. Next is TRIL, TRIL, against therapeutics. Make sure to check with COVID stuff. It's running up. Is this a perfect trend line? No, because it got broken here. But again, run up to earnings, broken, ran it up. So it's still a good indication of higher lows throughout this whole process. This could also be a channel play, and here we are. Now we missed the initial 8% here, which is, a little sad. But here's the best play, is that, you have a resistance here, a support area. Let's see what it does tomorrow, okay? If it does, in fact, die and come back down to $12, fantastic. You can now capitalize on an 8% play yourself. If it does live here and goes green and holds above this line, I would certainly buy. You have to expect a pullback. So you may be in the red for a few days. You see a pullback, but then we're talking that move to the left was 13% and maxed out at 21, but then the big move was 38 and eventually 60. So great upside from this channel it's developing. It's had higher lows throughout this process until over here, right? Higher low, higher low, higher low, but now it's coming back. So again, this may be a channel play more than anything, but again, it's the bottom of the channel. Let's check the indicators. So it loves to break the 50. They consolidate the 200. We're going to see if it does break. I mean, if it does live here above the 50, that's a great sign. But again, the stochastic's overdone. RSI is a little high. And the Vortex is kind of careening towards being less strength. So, but again, over here you can see, it did a massive move, tiny dip, and took off. So the indicators don't seem to be the greatest indicator of it. I mean, this whole run up over here is like, oh, it's overbought, it's overbought, it's overbought, but it kept going higher. And then over here, it said this was overdone, or sorry, it was oversold over here, but 5% later, it's now overbought. So not always the best indicators. I go off price action. If it does in fact show life tomorrow, I'd go long, and then if it does die on us, I would just buy lower. But TRIL is a great pickup. The last one is VIR, Biotechnology. It showed a lowest low in 180 days a little bit ago, which I don't love. But again, it did just come right back and climb into it. So this is a area of support right here. As you can see, resistance, support, support, support. So we're getting a fantastic deal. One could argue that the best price is 28.02, which is where that trend line would technically be 5% away. But again, you can't, scary money don't make no money. So you got to go for it. So I think it'd be a fine purchase here. It's very similar to that CRK stock we abuse, and I still abuse it to this day. Just making 6% every other day off of it. If it does drop down to 28, I'd buy it for sure. I think 29 is also a fair price. You know, no one's losing sleep over $1. It's okay, right? So I would go long. You're talking this channel up is 11% in itself. If it does do what you wanted to do, up to that lower high, it's 22%. That's fantastic. If it does for some reason want to do the whole channel, that's 37%. So it's a fantastic area of value. It consolidates here. It consolidates here. I mean, this is the whole area of consolidation. It is below the point of control, so it shows you have even 6% to run up to that. So it has a lot of great options. Let's check the indicators. RSI is fair. Stock can't get much lower. Vortex is still almost as low as it gets. I mean, it could dip tiny a little bit more. These are really harsh drop-offs, so I mean, it is what it is. But again, the red can get a little bit more overdone. So I mean, I guess I could see maybe some more red coming in the future, just a little bit. But again, price action is fantastic. It's a great deal according to these two, and the Vortex says it is a good deal. So VIR for the future is a fantastic purchase. So there you have it. Those are our 13 plays for the day, ready to go for tomorrow. Some may take a few days. That's why I say these are good from Monday to Wednesday, maybe even Thursday or Friday. But again, I think tomorrow, about half these will be primed and ready to run, or primed and ready to die. It's a great name for a band, Shotgun. So if those do well, buy into them. If they die, give it some time. These are 13 great stocks to add to your watch list for the future. With that being said, we'll see you guys tomorrow for another watch list. I appreciate all the support. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. We'll see you guys next time.